only passed the short-term spending bill because of Democrats yet again. 38 House Republicans defied both Johnson and Trump, refusing to pass their version of the deal that would have also raised the debt limit. When the next Congress is sworn in, Johnson must be reelected as Speaker. And it won't be easy. Already, two Republicans, Paul Gosar and Thomas Massie, have said they won't back him. Another, Marjorie Taylor Greene, floated the idea of picking a new leader. Her suggestion? Elon Musk. Joining us now is Democratic Congressman of Illinois, Sean Casten. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you, Congressman.
Nice to see you.
I am wondering, you all had a caucus meeting yesterday at 5 p.m. I know because I was going into a hit, and I'm like calling all these Democratic members of Congress, and they're all like, we're going into our caucus meeting now to decide what you're going to do about this bill. But I also have to imagine you discussed Speaker Johnson as well. Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries said earlier this week that Democrats would not vote to bail out Johnson in a speaker battle. Is that something that you all discussed, and is that posture you believe going to hold in this coming out of Christmas break next year?
So we definitely did not discuss that last night. I mean, bear in mind that we had bill text dropped about maybe 10 minutes before we went into that meeting, and all of us were trying to understand what was in the bill text. So that was very much a substantive policy meeting and figuring out what to do next. As to Johnson, it's tragic but appropriate that this term has ended with the same dysfunction the Republicans started it. We started the term with McCarthy, Santos, Gates, fistfights on the floor, 15 votes. We ended the term without McCarthy, Santos, or Gates, but a Republican Party that is just still sort of at war with itself. It's pretty clear, based on last night's vote, that there's a significant block of Republicans who don't like Johnson. And I think Johnson has stepped into the same mistake that McCarthy made, that yes, we are partisans, we have our different policy agendas, but as Richie Neal had pointed out, trust is your currency. And when Johnson agreed to a deal with Democrats and then walked away from it, it reminded, I think, a lot of us of when McCarthy had agreed to us on a deal with the Limit Save Grow Act to not blow up the debt ceiling, and then spent the weekend bashing us all on television. And that blew up any chance of Democratic support when the motion to vacate came that next day.
The minority leader was out yesterday sort of framing Democrats thinking about this, talking about the billionaire boys club that Democrats are up against. Take a listen to what he had to say.
House Democrats have successfully stopped extreme MAGA Republicans from shutting down the government, crashing the economy, and hurting working class Americans all across the land. House Democrats have successfully stopped the Billionaire Boys Club, which wanted a $4 trillion blank check, by suspending the debt ceiling.
Two questions for you, Congressman. One, how were Democrats able to borrow language from Simone, stay in array? And two, how are you going to message this to your constituents, the stakes of this spending bill?
Well, look, the Democrats did what we did all term, right? I mean, name a bill. I think Melanie referred to this in your last segment. Name a bill that passed this term and got to the president's desk that didn't pass with overwhelming Democratic support, and in most cases, a minority of Republicans. We're here to do the work. We're not here just to win elections. You win elections so that you can do the work, and I think we'll continue to do that. As it goes forward, I think if this bill had been the first offer and only offer, we probably would have been pretty happy with it. We got the farm bill that President Biden was asking for. We continued to fund governments at levels that were set by Democrats in the last Congress, and then slightly modified by President Biden. But we've never had a Republican funding bill this cycle that wasn't dominated by Democratic votes. I want to say Speaker Jeffries, Leader Jeffries was referring to was this effort by Trump to get rid of the debt ceiling that would have allowed him to pass massive tax cuts that would have blown up the deficits and taken off any checks. And I've been very outspoken. I think the debt ceiling is a silly artifact, but we can't give them that kind of blank check. And so we did succeed in taking that away. The one concern that I think a lot of us still have is that Trump didn't get what he wanted, but Musk did get what he wanted. In the first version of this bill, we had a provision, Republican-led provision, to put limitations on outbound investment in China. Musk pushed really hard, and the Republicans took that out. And look, if you're worth $400 billion, you've probably got conflicts of interest all over the place. But Musk has a lot of money flowing into China. And I don't want this to be partisan, but I don't think we should be voting to prop up billionaires so that we can send, potentially, military or technological secrets to our adversaries. And yet the Republican caucus caved to Musk on that issue, even as we were able to get them not to cave to Trump on the debt ceiling question. So we've won the battle, but there's many more ahead.
Congressman, get used to, the whole Musk influence on the House of Representatives. I want to play for you the response of the Speaker when asked whether or not he wanted to be Speaker again.
Do you still want to be Speaker after this experience?
Look, being Speaker of the House is a challenge in this modern era, but it's a challenge that we accept. It's a great honor to serve in the position. I wouldn't say it's the most fun job in the world all the time, but it's an important one.
It is a challenge. It is a challenge in the modern era. Nancy Pelosi seemed to have navigated it pretty easily, much easier than the Republican speakers have. My question isn't so much about Johnson. I just wanted to set that as a framing for the question, and that is, how do Democrats decide their political moves here in terms of when to lean in and help and when not to? It's a fine line, I would think, given how disarrayed and disorganized the House leadership is, the control that Musk will have over both the leadership and the members, Donald Trump weighing in and out. A speaker clearly, if he holds on, will be even weaker than he is now, not stronger, believe it or not. And so how do you, as Democrats, look at this opposition and figure how you either support them or just let them dry rot in the sun, in the heat of politics?
Obviously it's going to depend on the situation, but I think one of the challenges that Republicans have that the Democrats don't is that the Republicans disagree on goals. The Democrats within our caucus, we sometimes disagree on paths, right? But the policy goals that we're pushing for as Democrats, that government should work for all the people, that we should have, a robust growing middle class, that, we should live up to our foundational promises of equal treatment under the law, that we don't think people accused of rape and 34 felonies should be in positions of power. We have differences of opinion about how to make that happen, but there's a shared set of values. And, whether it was Speaker Pelosi or Leader Jeffries, I think they've been very good at consistently reminding us that we can disagree on paths while never losing our sight on goals. I think on the Republican side, they have a separate challenge that they have a very sizable wing of their party that is opposed to the idea of governance. They don't want government to work. They're out there saying a shutdown would be good. They've been completely corrupted by this view that, what's the line that you want to be able to drown government, shrink government so you can drown it in a bathtub. That wing sits uneasily with the old, George H.W. Bush, Mitt Romney, Ronald Reagan Republicans, who were certainly very culturally conservative, but set out that government should do things. And those two factions between them are I think, are better seen as two parties who are caucusing together, but really don't like each other. Remember, we've had two fistfights in the House this term. They all involved Republicans.
Well.
Well.